Okay,
Oh,
there,
she's
there
here.
she
Great,
is.
great, great.
Wonderful. So thank you so much for this, Suruchi. I just saw Gagan Gaman and it's very involved and really quite wonderful and captures the spirit of a city which is sort of steeped in history, and so
Right.
much tradition and so many folk stories. So it really brings alive Jaipur. And I believe you're a Jaipur native. So this is,
Yes.
in a way, your tribute to your city as well. And there's so much happening there in terms of art and textile and, of course, heritage. That it's one of my favorite cities. So talk about
Right.
Gagan Gaman being, in a way, very personal, but also sort of a showcasing of a wonderful city. The wonderful city that Jaipur is.
Yes, yes, definitely. So, thank you, Kaveri, for seeing the film and for your kind words. Actually, the film is definitely in my heart. Like I call it a Jaipur film because it's trying to
Yeah,
get the capture the visual aspect of the city. That's one part, but it's also trying to see it from a very, like an insider's kind of look into the city and what it means to me. So it is a city steeped in traditions. And what does it mean for a modern woman like me to be a part of this milieu? I'm also trying to look at that. And while I am so much in love with the traditional aspect of this culture that brings in to our life, it also kind of is extremely patriarchal in its setup.
yeah.
So how does a woman navigate the system? That's what I'm kind of trying to look at. And also, what one thing that I noticed was that there is a very, if you've come to Jaipur, you've seen already, it's a very beautiful city as a facade. It really
Yeah.
captures you with its beauty. But if you go inside, the interior lanes, have a different picture altogether, at least
And
in
they can be
today's time.
quite dark. And
Exactly,
that can be
exactly.
quite dark.
Exactly. So exactly my point. So that's why when you see this film, it's actually trying to go into those deeper and darker lanes as well, and trying to see what lies there. It's going beyond the whole aspect of beauty of a city, which is so striking and always kind of becomes the talking point. But there is more to this world, which we are trying to discover in this film.
Especially when listen to the men singing about freedom.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
find that so ironic, because they are the ones who are the custodians of freedom, actually. They have the keys to the
Right.
freedom of
So
women. I found
right.
that and is that a traditional, is that a folk song?
Yes, so I'll tell you,
Yeah.
there's a very interesting story to that moment in the film. So basically, my film before this one was called Mean Rag. It's a documentary film on musical traditions of Meena community. So for the first time, somebody kind of put together the collage of the various musical forms that exist in that particular community. It was not very well documented, I would say. मतलब इस तरह से कभी नहीं हुआ था जैसे मीन राग में it comes together कि ये भी है ये भी there's a lot of diversity in Rajasthan and I've been working in a lot of this folk documentation. So in while making Mean Rag, I came across these singers. They are called the Dhacha singers. They see they're the art form
Bhacha.
that they are singing Dhacha.
Okay.
Dhacha. That's, and it's a very like rarely known and not spoken about kind of an art form which I discovered. And what I like about these musical traditions is that they are very still very much alive. Like even today, when there is a program or an event, they are called and they are like they're singing. But now it's happening on a DJ. So they have like going on, and then they are trying to sing. But the interesting aspect of this tradition is that it's improv poetry. It's completely in the moment. So there are songs that are made in that moment, and they are in response to one another. It's like a rap battle.
Oh,
And Meenas, traditionally, of course, are the scheduled tribe from Rajasthan. So they have this tribal kind of legacy or lineage, which kind of comes through these songs. If you notice in there, जो उनका स्वर है, जो उनकी राग है, उसमें आपको उसकी झलक दिखती है. So when I met Ramji Lalji Dhacha, you see in this film, he's performing that piece on freedom, and I met him in Meen Rag, and I invited him here in this one, and I gave him, ki, please sing something on freedom, and that's how he's just doing it in the moment
Oh,
while the camera rolled, and he made that song in that moment. That's the beauty of it.
and it's so interesting. Your DOP is Meena.
Yes, yes, he is. He's my husband actually, and
Oh,
that's how
okay.
Mean Rag happened. Because
Oh,
I come from a different culture, and I married into his culture, and I was completely blown away by the musical this thing richness that I witnessed, and I was like, this is something that I really want to know more about. And then we went on this trip together. Interestingly, the film won the national award last year for its sound recording. So that happened, and then now in this film we kind of came together. And this is also because I've been making a lot of documentaries. It's after a long gap that I'm coming back to fiction. So that was also special about this film.
and very interesting. I just saw In Retreat, which Ashok has also shot, and it was so
Right, right,
beautifully shot. Another sort of touristy destination, which again, Mysum looks at as an insider. So it's
correct,
very interesting to see the same kind of idea
right,
reflected in your film as well.
right,
It's
right, right.
when you look at it, actually, it almost is like a mirror of each other. So you're not from Rajasthan. You're from outside Rajasthan, or did you grow up in?
I call myself a Raj. I'm not a Marwari per se, because that's not what we call ourselves. We're not Marwaris. Basically, if you have to ask, like, we are, I think, Brahmins from Haryana who kind of settled in Rajasthan a
Acha,
while
okay,
ago. And but the family has people from Jaipur who've married into. So the culture is a mix of Rajasthani, Haryanvi, Hindu, Brahmin kind of a mix. And
very
now that I'm
interesting.
married
Yeah,
the Meena family, now there is this whole touch of the Meenas also
right.
in my life.
So Ashok is from FTII, or is he from? He's from FTII.
Right, right, right.
Okay, and you're from NID.
Yes, I studied masters in NIT. Yes,
So
and
two
we both are from
fantastic
Jaipur.
institutions. And
Yes,
yeah, so two
and
fantastic
also
institutions, I think.
two temperaments that way, because from FTI, I think like what Ashok brings into this team is this whole understanding of cinema, at a
Right,
deeper level. I feel and when I come from NID, I think I come from this very playful aspect of looking at the work, and so the whole idea of taking it seriously and not so seriously comes together when we team up,
right.
and yeah.
And Suruchi, the end credits, are those drawings by you of
No, no, no,
Jaipur?
no. So,
Oh,
no, no, no. So, but the idea was to bring together this element of Jaipur in the credits. But this amazing, even the poster, if I send it to you and you can take a look at
yeah,
even the
it's so
poster
beautiful.
and the credit.
It
Yes.
looks like
So
a
they
miniature.
Right, right, right. So this is by the team called the Nomad Cafe. These are two architects who live in Ahmedabad, and they have worked on the graphics and poster. And of course, it was like a conversation between us that kind of eventually evolved into these ideas. But
Right.
I'm very happy with what they've done. Yeah.
Oh, yes, it's so beautiful. It's a very sort of elliptical take on Jaipur. You don't
Yeah. Right.
see everything. You'll just see the stairs, or you'll just see the
Right.
arches. You don't see
Right.
the whole, uh, you know, the
Right.
the entire Haveli, for instance, but you see little aspects of it. It's
Correct.
really beautiful.
Right, right, right. I think even in the film, that's really the case, that we are only taking
Mm.
parts of the city and kind of
Parts.
putting it
Yeah.
together. Because
Yeah.
when you put the entire structure in place, then that kind of becomes the overwhelming, aspect of a
Yeah.
visual, you know.
And
So,
even
which is
even
taking.
when your actors are riding the scooty, I think.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I mean, yeah, you can see the gate. I don't know which gate it is in Jaipur. There's so
Huh.
many. Huh.
Right,
But
attribute, yes.
you see it
Yeah.
being revealed very slowly rather than in
Mhm.
your face, you know. So I
Correct,
think
right.
it's like a little discovery of Jaipur also. I
Right.
think
At the
it's a
same
little
time,
journey.
we don't see really the key places. Also, I think we've
Yeah,
steered away from that. So you don't see
thank God.
Hawa Mahal and City Palace, which we've seen enough. Yeah, I think we're trying to see the other aspects of the city which are
Yeah,
not really in the face. Yeah.
right. And talk about the journey of the woman herself, you know, very well played, of course, by talk
Subrata.
a little about the actor as well, and then her
Right.
entire journey, you know, and the
Right.
women she meets are obviously actual, I mean, they're real life performers, right? Talk a bit
Yeah,
about
I'd like to.
those women
Yes,
as
I
well.
Right, right, right. So, in terms of the casting of the film, yeah, the we didn't really take a lot of auditions, or the whole idea was to meet people and understand what's their life journey been like so far. So I just kind of met a lot of people, youngsters, and all, like, people from all walks of life, and kind of spoke with them. What's been up at your end. And when I met Shubrata, she brought a certain spark with her. There has been a certain journey which is full of resilience, which kind of also resonated with my journey. Like women trying to make something in the middle of this kind of setup is not easy. We've all come, if you see us in arts, or anything to do in this field, or following our passion, it's given that we've taken a difficult journey to be here. So that resonated with me, like her journey of choosing to be an actor. She wanted to be actually she wanted to be in the army first, and then she chose to be an actress and that kind of a thing. So she shared all of those stories, and the fact that she comes from a Punjabi background, and now she's settled in Rajasthan. I liked, like, the whole world that she brought into with her, and yeah, so that's why I kind of just met her, and I felt the spark, and I was like, chalo karte hain. And we didn't, like, do auditions, or even she didn't even get to read the script before, so she was kind of lost, and I was like really playing with her mind while directing her. So, but yeah, eventually it came out together in the end. And in terms of the women, so we are featuring, one is Gavri Deviji, who's playing the Bay Mata, the goddess. And she is actually a very senior folk artist from Rajasthan, who sings Mand, who's been singing Mand. Now she's in her mid 80s, I think, and but still, I think, performing. And it was such a delight to discover her, thanks to my teammate Supriya. She brought her to my attention. So we kind of reached out to her. It was such a delight to know, okay, she's like on board, and like they were very happy to be here, and it was fun to kind of collaborate with her. And then the second woman is Jeevni Devi, who's actually a friend's grandmother. And when we were kind of looking for this, Bay Mata's assistant, and we researched, and we found that even in folk stories, the Bay Mata has an assistant, and she's called Popo Devi. So we started looking for our Popo Devi, and then the friend's grandmother came to our mind, and I went to meet her. And the moment I met her, I was like, she's it, because in terms of cast, I feel like as people, we carry the stories within us, so that possibility of playing a character is dependent on who we are as people, and that's how I like to cast you know for my film.
And really the I mean the character's journey is towards freedom, you know, but there's so much that is, you know, sort of holding her back, including the rituals like Karwa Chauth and all that. So, I mean, what was the idea behind that journey towards freedom? I mean, your own, of course, personal journey, as you said, you know, anyone who's trying to do anything different from the usual has to battle all kinds of mindsets in men and women, not necessarily
Correct.
just men.
Correct.
How does this journey, does it mirror yours, or is it just the essence of your journey?
Yeah, so actually, when I make fiction, like I kind of phrase it for myself that when I'm making documentaries, it's about exploring the world outside, and when I'm making fiction, it's about exploring the world inside. It's going deep within. So, for me, fiction is dealing with self and nothing else. So definitely, as I was witnessing certain events in my life while the making of the film, the script was also kind of evolving and the ideas were coming in. So the script actually was being written, or the idea just came in 10 minutes, one day, and I was like, I'm making this film, but the events and the images kept coming in as I was living through my own life. So that process was very interesting, and I have been on this journey, I would say, of understanding freedom, what it means, and uh, right now, like, my perspectives kind of constantly are evolving. But right now, if you ask me, I think I've also learned that in this quest for freedom, I have now understood the value of discipline also, eventually, because I'm not that person at all, and I've been somebody who's been chasing personal freedom and autonomy and all of those things for the longest time. But now I understand, having taken this journey through this film as well, that now it's about time to, like, kind of come back to the center and seek freedom and discipline together, maybe.
Which is, of course, the most difficult task of all.
Yes. Let's see how it
Right.
goes. I'm up for this journey, and let's see where this is a riddle in itself. Like, these are questions and these are riddles, and then we're like kind of finding answers to it on the go.
So the riddle is a traditional riddle which you have updated, or is it something that you wrote afresh?
Right. So the idea of the riddle comes from a tradition in literature, that we've had this very strong tradition of the pahelis, like we also tell in the film. So that has been there, but the riddle that we're using, that the Bemata is telling us, is has been created by us. There are two riddles that we have created by ourselves. One is that Bemata's paheli that comes first, and the end riddle also. There's a riddle at the end, because I do feel there is a possibility of extending the story from riddle to riddle. It never ends. The quest never ends. So that is there. But the two riddles that the librarian mentions while speaking to the lady, and like, okay, answer this, those ones are traditional ones that we found through our research. So it's a mix of both.
Right. So where do you go from here, Suruchi? What do you do next?
uh, I'm like actually often all the time steeped in work. I'm doing something or the other. So many ideas are always kind of, bursting in my head. And right now, just to tell you, like, about all that I do, currently I run a production house of my own, studio Enac. So through that, I kind of basically earn my bread and butter, and I make music videos and some kind of sustainable brands we kind of collaborate with, and we do films for them. So that's one part. And right now I'm interested in an idea of a docu series which I'm kind of pitching. I really want to make my feature next, so I've been developing a feature set in Rajasthan for the longest time. So I want to kind of start pushing for that. While right now, because we are kind of completing Gagan Gaman, there is a lot of desire to extend it into a feature format and, like, redo it in a larger kind of scope. And apart from that, now I'm also moving into producing. So currently, there's one film that I'm producing for a filmmaker called Bhuvan, whose film Chetak has been selected for Cinekid Lab in Netherlands. So I'm excited to set up that project as well in the coming time. And lastly, I am also kind of founder of this screenwriters residency called Rewrite. So we host this every year for writers across India. So there's work on that end that I kind of manage.
That's a lot of work.
Yeah, that's a lot of work.
And
It
all
is
this out of Jaipur.
exhausting. It's, yes, all out of Jaipur. It's exhausting and nourishing at the same time, and that's how I kind of keep going. I was in Bombay for some years, working in Bombay on non-fiction shows, etc. But I realized that my calling was in Rajasthan. I wanted to make more and more films here. So I'm very happy to be here and doing my thing
Yeah, I think
independently.
Jaipur is such a beautiful city, and there's so much that you can do there, and people are
Right,
doing a lot of interesting work. So,
right.
is are you building that community as well in Jaipur? A lot of young people are doing interesting things across food, textile, heritage, all kinds of things.
Correct. Yeah, the good part about living in this small town is that we're all very connected. I think in arts fraternity, anyway, we're all very connected, whether it's in Bombay or otherwise. So yes, we're all here working together as a family. We give each other our calls. Bhai, ye karna hai, ye kaise hoga, kya hoga. So we have a support system here, and yes, I have a wonderful team here. Amazing people who've supported me in this making of this film as well. Worked like arduously, like tirelessly, fully into this film. So I'm very thankful for the entire team that has contributed.
For me, one of the most striking scenes in the film is when she's ripping out the wallpaper.
Yeah.
Talk a bit about that scene. And what a waste of a beautiful wallpaper.
But that's what it is, like, uh, I think we have to destroy sometimes to kind of restart, you know. So, yeah, so it is, that is what I think. There is also this layer of understanding the weight of beauty in general. Like, beauty also kind of conditions you a certain way, and we're living in this beautiful city, and the idea of a beautiful woman, the beauty of a life put together. So, and we so hesitate to kind of move out of it, or yeah, there is so much fear involved in the process of thinking, even thinking of like destroying that, right? So what if you do that? What happens when you do that? I think it's also a necessary process. It's almost like something that will happen over time, so you have to also kind of live with it. I don't think the fear can kind of stop anything from happening.
That's a very traditional wallpaper you see in a lot of the heritage homes and heritage hotels. Very
Mhm.
conventional, looks beautiful, and you don't know what's going on behind those walls.
Ah, right. Yeah, the idea was to have like something very beautiful, and something that you felt, oh, this looks perfect. But and I wanted to kind of damage that.
Yeah, yeah.
I enjoyed shooting that scene a lot. I wanted to like myself rip apart that entire wallpaper.
Is that a set or is that someone's home?
Oh, we did use somebody's home and created a set thanks to the production designer Prashant Deshpande. He did a fabulous job in the entire film, from creating the world of Mata, which was so abstract and beautiful, and then this house setting. We did. It was a mix of a real location and then setting it up. You know.
And the scene where the little girl is calling out to Subra's character, where is that set? That's obviously
That's
one of
one of
the
the
old.
one of the streets. So we that's a real location. So that's just
Hmm.
somebody's home balcony that we kind of borrowed at 3 a.m. in the night. We were shooting these nights, from yeah, 12, after the whole colony kind of mohalla kind of shut down and slept, and we were shooting on the streets that night for 2 nights.
Where
Yeah.
in Jaipur were most of the scenes shot?
It's mostly within the city, so we've used a temple, in the middle of the city, close to the Tarkesh, Govind, close to the city palace. Actually, all of these locations are in the vicinity of the city palace, around that periphery.
Right.
So it's very much central Jaipur. And so we've used the mohallas, and we've used the mandir, and then there is this whole scene of the climbing the staircase. That's
Yeah.
a
Where is
little
that?
out of Jaipur. There
Okay.
is a place called Sagar where we've shot this. Yeah.
Okay. It's so lovely. Thank you so much. Thank you so much for the film, Suruchi, and I do wish it does well. And it'll be interesting to see what you do next as well. Thank you. And I will
Thank you
look up
so
the
much, Kaveri.
website. I think it looks the work you do seems very interesting. I will definitely look it up. Thank you so much.
Great. Thank you so much, Kaveri, and hope we meet at some time and catch up more.
Yes, yes.
Thank you for this time.
Bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Bye.